Today we confront the question that refuses to die. True federalism and resource control. Is it time to restructure Nigeria, or is it time to risk further fragmentation? Well, good morning Nigeria and welcome to the agenda. I'm Chike Ogbogu. From the creeks of the Niger Delta to the savannas of the north and the hills of the east and west, the agitation for fiscal federalism, state autonomy, higher derivation, and devolution of powers has never been louder. Some say it is the only path to justice and development. Others have warned that it is a disguised journey to disintegration. Well, we have in the studio a sharp mind who has studied these issues for decades. Ignatius Ofino, economist and public affairs analyst. It's good to have you in the studio this morning.
Good morning, Mazi Chike Ogbogu.
Well, I hope you're hearing from your friend.
Definitely.
Your friend wants peace now.
Definitely.
But peace,
global peace.
But peace is elusive.
Peace is elusive everywhere.
Well, meanwhile, Ignatius Ofino's friend is the President of the United States of America.
Yes, President Donald Trump.
Well, Ignatius Ofino, many Nigerians, especially in resource-rich states, feel that they are feeding the federal government, but eating crumbs. But for fiscal federalism and true federalism, for the average Nigerian, what do they mean?
Thank you very much, Mazi. When we are talking about federalism, it is a political system in which political powers and authority is being shared by the central government and the component units that make up the country. I repeat again, federalism is a political system in which political power and authority is being shared by the central government and the component units that make up the country. So when we're talking about the component units, you talk about the state government and the local government. So when we are talking about federalism, you are talking about 3 tiers of government. The federal government at the center, the state government, and the local government. The local government happens to be the closest government to the people. So when we are talking about fiscal federalism, you are talking about revenue generation among the federating units, federal government, state government, and local government. How do they generate revenue for economic development, for the execution of public infrastructure and capital projects? So one of the ways government usually generates revenue is through taxes and export revenue, or what we call export receipts. When you export goods abroad, then you now get dollar or hard currency in return, because dollar happens to be the international currency used in international trade. So when we are talking about fiscal federalism, in the issue, you are talking more about what we call revenue generation
and distribution.
Then how is it going to be distributed? Because that has been one of the germane issue in Nigeria. When you look at Nigeria today, the late sage Chief Jeremiah Obafemi Awolowo, GCFR of blessed memory, he said Nigeria is a geographical expression. So if I want to explain it further, it means that Nigeria is a country and not a nation. A country that is made up of nation states. Because we're having over 430 ethnic groupings in Nigeria. So we have the Igbo nation. We have the Yoruba nation. We have the Hausa Fulani nation. We have the Ijaw nation. We have the Edo nation within the country. So you cannot say Nigeria is a nation. Nigeria is only a country made up of nation states. So we have to make the clarification. And when we are talking about natural resources, it is unevenly distributed.
Okay, so talking about federalism and fiscal federalism,
Yes.
There is a distortion of that version in the sense that presently what we see in Nigeria today is that states wait in Abuja every month to collect allocation, like children collecting pocket money from their parents. But that is not federalism. That seemed to be a unitary system of government in federalism clothing, or in a federal clothing. Now, how do we demystify that unitary system, which was bequeathed to us by the late General J.T. Uaguyi-Ironsi during the military incursion, and made Nigeria a unitary system of government, disparaging the Republican Constitution of 1963 that we used to have. And it has, transversed all through till today, where governors go to Abuja every month, suck from the feeding bottle, and then not even contributing anything to the states. Is that not a form of unitary system inside a federal, so-called federal clothing? And that's why I call them the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Is Nigeria truly a federal republic?
Thank you very much. That was a laudable argument you presented, an observation. Nigeria needs to go back to the 1963 Republican Constitution. But it will be very difficult for us to go back to regional government.
Why?
It will be very difficult because the British who colonized Nigeria felt that the only political system they can be able to introduce in this country, because of our complexities, is the parliamentary system of government, where you have a prime minister and a ceremonial president. Between the two major protectorates, the Northern Protectorate and the Southern Protectorate. It's just unfortunate that the military incursion was what distorted the Republican Constitution of 1963. Then when you look at the regional government, there was what we call fiscal federalism. So what they did was this: the resources within your region, you exploit that resources. Then later you pay your royalty to the central government. Which
is a certain percentage.
Yes, it was a workable document. But when the military came and took over, they introduced what we call unification decree. So you don't blame the military, you blame the politicians.
How?
It was the politicians that allowed the military to take over government in Nigeria.
So what went wrong in the 1963 Republican Constitution that allowed the military takeover?
I will give you an instance. The desperation on the part of the politician. All of them want to become president at the same time. That is the same problem we have. None of them want to sacrifice. None of them want to trade off.
Was it about they wanting to become president or they wanting to become premier of each of the regions? I'm
just using the case of a president, for example, now, presently, what is happening.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example now. They formed a coalition government in 1960 between Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe
of the NCNC.
Of the NCNC.
Yes.
Then Sir Ahmadu Bello and Tafawa Balewa of the NPC, Northern People's Congress.
Yes.
You can see it has an ethnic coloration. Then against Action Group of
the
Chief Obafemi Awolowo,
the West.
Of the West. There is one thing you must understand. We have the ruling government. We have what we call the opposition. When the opposition decide to become what we call, decide to become a destroyer in politics, it becomes a problem. There's what we call constructive criticism, different from what we call destructive criticism. So in Nigeria today, most of the opposition parties today, they tend towards what we call destructive criticism rather than constructive criticism. Let me bring you back to what is currently happening presently. Nigeria want a regime change, fine. But those in the opposition, they have not told us how they want to run government in 2027. Now, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he was campaigning, he said he's going to remove oil subsidy. Mr. Peter Obi of Labour Party said the same thing.
Of the then Labour Party.
Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the then PDP said the same thing, that he's going to remove what? Oil subsidy. But none of them told us the welfare policy they want to introduce. So there is problem on ground. When Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu decided to remove the oil subsidy unilaterally, without due consultation, we all knew what is presently happening. The multiplier effect that keeps demeaning the lives of Nigerians on a daily basis. So when we are talking about constructive criticism, the first thing we will do is this. In the area of economy, APC failed. This is what we are going to do differently. In the area of security and defense, APC failed. You now tell us how they failed and why they failed. They will not say, this is our own solution that we are going to profile. In the issue, it was one of the excuses they give. But now, what is the politician doing today? They are taking everything. If there is so-called overinflated contract in Nigeria today, if a contract, 1 kilometer of road, is worth 1 million naira. Now, the government will now award it for what? 2 million naira. What do you think the government has done? They have denied and deprived the people 1 kilometer additional road. And they have also defrauded the people 1 million naira. We are talking about 10% that the First Republic politicians did. That was what prompted, and the issue of Wild West too. Killings all over the places. So you don't blame the military. You have to blame them partially. You blame the politicians more.
Maybe they didn't understand governance then, because Nigeria was young in independence at that time, and they made mistakes. And the military guys
Let me give you
capitalized
one
on
example.
that.
One of the greatest mistakes the military also made during the days of General Yakubu Gowon, GCFR. He said Nigeria has too much money, but Nigeria does not know how to spend it. So Gowon owed Nigeria apology
For that statement.
for that statement. So he should get away with what he's saying, and Nigerian praise. Each time I look at that caption, Nigeria praise. I mean, this was a man who did back to Nigeria. You said Nigeria has too much money, but he doesn't know how to spend it.
But maybe,
is that wisdom?
but shouldn't you attribute that statement to youthful exuberance? Because Gowon became head of state of Nigeria at a very tender age of about 29 years. So you might just call it a youthful exuberance. Attribute that statement to youthful exuberance.
I won't agree with you, sir. He knows that what he said was bad. I have too much money. You know, there was one time they said Nigeria borrowed, I think, IMF money. Loan. This country borrowed IMF loan. Look at how the country is now. Is Gowon happy with the state of happenings in Nigeria? The same thing applies to General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, the man that devalued our currency because of the IMF loan. And Chief Awolowo was alive then, and Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, they all raised objection. Don't go for this loan. This is a killer loan. He was also a military general. Did he comply with them? They went ahead.
Let's come back to regionalism, true federation, and fiscal federalism. Quick one. You've talked about we reenacting the 1963 Republican Constitution.
Yes.
With dust the pan and all that. But remember, that Constitution had Nigeria into regions.
Yes.
3 regions plus 1 extra, Midwest.
Making 4.
Making 4. Now today, we have 6 regions in Nigeria. Do you think, or are you of the opinion, according to public view, that Nigeria should be balkanized into only 6 states, which makes up the 6 regions? That the 36 states should be collapsed, and then we have only 6 governors in Nigeria, and let's return back to regional government. Do you share that opinion?
It will be very difficult for us to return to regional government.
Why?
Because of the issue of what we call marginalization.
So we're going there.
Because of the issue of marginalization, the minorities keep complaining that they are being suppressed and oppressed by the majority. So when you are talking about politics is a game of number. Numerical strength. Let me give an instance in Ibadan now.
Before you give that instance, there are 2 things involved here. We're talking about true federalism, where many people have been proposing for a regional system of government. Now, what you're about saying now is fiscal federalism.
Yes.
And that's distribution and generation of wealth.
Based on justice.
Based on justice.
And equity.
However, before we look at fiscal federalism, let's look at true federalism. Can it really work, we having 6 states in Nigeria, 6 governors, 6 regions?
It will be very difficult,
okay,
based on our complexity,
okay,
and the way we behave. Let me give an instance. Oyo State as a whole, Oyo State, and as it has become a political populism that the only let me use, I don't want to say Ibadan tribe now or your tribe. I don't know if I'm going to be correct if I'm using the word Ibadan tribe or your tribe. I don't know if I'm going to be I'm correct with that.
You're not.
I'm not correct.
Yeah.
Now they will say that the only person that can become governor in Oyo State was come from Ibadan.
Okay.
What about those from Oyo? What about those from Shaki? What about those from Okegun? Are they not children of Oduduwa? I'm talking within the same race. Now let's go back to Niger Delta, where we have different groupings. We have the Edo. We have those that came from Esan. We have the Afemai. We have the Ijos. We have the Rogos. We have the Ishekiris. The Benis are there. It will be very difficult. Very difficult. So that was why when they created state, it was a noble idea. But those who have numerical strength, they were always winning elections.
But can we still continue with this contraption of different nations inside the country?
There is nothing we can do about it for now, except if we now decide to implement the 2014 confab, when Nigeria was exactly 100 years old, after the amalgamation. So what is now happening to that document? Because that document happened to be transformed to become a new constitution.
Have you seen that document?
I've not seen the document.
Has it come out to public glare?
It has never come out to public.
So how do you then say we should go to that document?
No, it was a conference.
It was a conference, but the result of that conference has not been made public.
No, what happened is this: is the fault of the government.
Okay.
It's the fault of the government.
Are there things in that document that may be, contradictory to any government of the day?
Now, what we overheard from the rumor mill that the North was not satisfied with the document, that it favored this.
These agitations.
There is one clause in the Nigerian constitution that states that Nigeria shall continue to remain an indivisible and indissoluble country. So Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu owe it as what? A responsibility to ensure that Nigeria remains one. If the Yoruba race decide to fight Nigeria today, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will fight them. He will not say because they belong to the same race. Because that constitution, that is the oath of allegiance that is sworn to during inauguration. So
are you saying that having true federalism might lead to the dissolution of a country?
They believe in what we call an indivisible United States. That is true federalism. Can we not replicate the same here in Nigeria? When you are talking about true federalism, that shows that the state will be independent. The local government too will be independent. Now, go and look at the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 Constitution. State, local government, joint account.
That's section 162, subsection 3 to 8 of the Constitution.
Is that not an aberration? And you call your country Federal Republic of Nigeria. The key word there is what? Federal.
Federal.
That is the key word. In South Africa today, they call their country Republic of South Africa. But we decided to call our own country Federal Republic of what? Nigeria. And we refuse to practice what we call true federalism.
So it's an
aberration.
So should you say a unitary government of Nigeria?
Probably.
Okay.
That is what we are seeing.
So a quick correction. The United States of America has 50 states, not 52. A quick correction there.
50 states.
Yeah, 50 states, not 52. So let's look at the derivation principle now. Currently is at 13%. Now, should it go to 50% or even more, as some of the South states are demanding at the moment?
There was nothing like a 13% derivative formula before. There was nothing like that. It was as a result of what? Agitation. And they now said 2 million march in March. In Abuja. So they went to control oil receipts. That was what triggered militancy in the Niger Delta. So you are now coming to our own region, exploring oil and developing Abuja that belongs to the North. This is an injustice. That was what triggered the issue of militancy in the Niger Delta. And so when Obasanjo now came, and Obasanjo felt that the issue of resource control handpicked what? Jonathan, as a way of compensating the Niger Delta. But when you are talking about militants in the Niger Delta, the Jaws are more. They are more. You talk about Asari Dokubo. You talk about
Government Ekpemukpolo,
yes,
aka Tompolo.
Tompolo. They are there.
Bello.
Yes.
Ateketom.
Yes, Ateketom.
He is a king now.
Yes.
He's a king
Movement
now.
for the emancipation of the Niger Delta MEND.
Yes.
And so they are there. They have weapons. They have everything. So it was there to down the tension. That was why. Then this man, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, blessed memory, was magnanimous enough. He now said, let us do two things for these people to down the tension. Then two, he created the amnesty program. Then three, he created the Ministry of the Niger Delta. That was why when this government wanted to face that ministry up, he wanted to face it out.
They came up
They
with
raised up an objection.
Yeah, and then
Without oil. That is why those of us from the Niger Delta keep saying it. No navigation of the economy. Must you rely only on oil?
well, let's get back to this. So, are you of the opinion that presently that
I will say they should give us 50%.
okay.
But I want to be a nationalist.
Okay, so
that 13% to me for now. Let's go by that way of 13% for now. But what we need is that every Nigerian state and community should be what? Developed. I believe in what called physical development.
Okay.
For all.
So because of our time, now, if you say it should remain at 13%, how about governors of non-oil states? Many of them fear they will become poor cousins to some of these oil-rich states. Now, how do we address the anxiety coming from these governors of non-oil states?
Thank you very much. The federal government has its own constitutional role. The state has its own constitutional role. When it comes to the issue of revenue generation, the time has come for states and the federal government to be mining resources. Federal government does not own any natural resources. They don't own it. It belongs to the people resident in that state and local government. But because of the Land Use Act that was promulgated by the military regime of General Olusegun Obasanjo GCFR, that is where the problem lies. You own the land, but the resources beneath the land belong to the federal government. That is injustice.
Is it about the Land Use Act alone? How about the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that puts mineral resources under the exclusive list?
Yes. At the point of view of who? The federal government. That is injustice. So there was one time in Nigeria that was what we call onshore-offshore dichotomy.
Yes.
That became a problem. It was escalated in Niger Delta. So there is one thing the federal government must do is that we have to address that issue when it comes to the issue of the solid mineral sector in this country and the oil and gas sector. Some people are saying that there's nothing wrong if states have their own modular refineries. That there's nothing wrong about it. But there's one thing that is very germane when it comes to the issue of solid minerals now. Nigeria.
In Zamfara State, precisely.
Northern Nigeria. Illegal mining. But you do not allow such a thing to happen in the south. There are also solid minerals in the south. We have to be frank and sincere to ourselves. That is why you see the people of the Niger Delta complaining of marginalization and what we call economic injustice.
But you know, ideally, as a political scientist, you know that there can never be an utopian society.
Definitely.
There's no perfect society.
Definitely.
And there's no egalitarian society, as it were.
But that is what we hope for.
But there's no egalitarian society all over the world.
But one day it will come.
So when I say...
When it will come, I don't know.
Dear audience, when I talk about egalitarianism, we're talking about a society where everyone is equal. Everyone is equal. Well, there's been these loud calls for a new constitutional conference or maybe a referendum. Do you think it's inevitable at the moment?
I have to be frank and sincere. Is Nigeria really a serious country? Do you know how much it cost the government to organize confab? I remembered in 1999 and 1995, that was the Constituent Assembly organized by the late General Sani Abacha. The document is still there in Aso Rock. Again, 2014, Confirm. The document is still there. We keep saying the same thing. And Abbas Esteem made a statement. He said, if you keep doing the same thing, you keep getting what? The same result. That has been the problem in this country. The Constituent Assembly organized by Abacha, you bring that one out. The one organized by Jonathan in 2014, you bring it out. And let's review it. It should be subject to what? To review.
Ignatius Sofino, some people, some section of the public have argued that restructuring could lead to fragmentation rather, of the Nigerian state, especially with nation, is your nation, and all that. So if we restructure the country, is there any fear for fragmentation?
When you are talking about restructuring, you have to ask the first question, that what is actually existing on ground? Is it ideal? Does it need a change? Is there distortion on the existing structure? When you say restructuring, it means what? Let us try to amend the existing structure. That is what it means. Now, for now, we have 3 tiers of government. The federal government, the state government, and the local government. 1. Then we have what we call 3 arms of government. The executive arm of government, the legislative arm of government, the judiciary arm of government. Now, we are having an issue when it comes to the issue of security. Exclusive list, the federal government. Now there is agitated what we call state police, which is quite necessary, but it has not been implemented. There is a problem on ground. Now, we have some ethnic group agitating for their own state. There is the call for what? State creation. Civilian regime has never for once organized and created a state. It has always been the military regime. Let me give you an instance. When you talk about being a member of the Senate, it is based on what? Equity. Their representation at the House of Representatives is based on what? On population. Now, Kano has 44 local governments. Lagos is. No, we have to be frank and sincere to ourselves. That is why some people are agitating for what called creation of state as part of restructuring. But will we still solve the problem? When you say you want to create state, what about the issue of revenue generation? And the allocation of what? Resources. It depends on what? Federal allocation on a monthly basis. But I keep saying it is this. There's one thing I keep saying. I like Japan. Japan does not have iron ore. But Japan manufactures one of the largest fleet of cars in the world, automobiles. You can go by the way of technology. Forget about the issue that whether you have solid minerals or not. You don't have solid minerals, but you have a state of your own. You have citizens in that state that you must take care of. When it comes to the issue of public governance, you can decide to go by the way of what we call technological transfer. Education. Let us develop our citizens in our own state so that they can be able to manufacture what we call capital goods. So we can now export. That is how a right-thinking governor should think. What can we do for our own state? What can we produce? Do you know that the Indigbos are being called the Taiwan of Africa? Because of what? Skills. The Indigbos, they have that high-level ingenuity. There is nothing they cannot create. There is nothing. So they will not depend on what we call natural resources. They will not depend. So when we are talking about a state that are not viable, those states should be blamed the more. For not being viable, that shows that their governor is shallow-minded. There's nothing wrong if the governor decides to go and recruit white men who are scientists. I want to recruit you into my state, develop and train my own students here, how to make something we can be able to produce and export.
All right, we'll get back to you in a bit. We'll be taking your messages from the app X after this break. Don't move a muscle.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at DominionCast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Welcome back from that break. Still the agenda, and I have with me in the studio Ignatius Ofino, and we're discussing true federalism and resource control. Time to restructure Nigeria or risk further fragmentation? Well, we'll get to know when we set an agenda on the program, The Agenda. Well, let's get to your messages this morning. Our oil has polluted our rivers for 60 years, yet we get 13%. My people drink poison while Abuja builds mansions. Increase derivation to 50% or forget unity. That's Engineer Dere speaking there.
Environmental degradation caused by oil exploration by which of the multinational oil companies, at least Shell, BP, was being accused.
Yes.
So that is what we call soil reclamation. So how it will be very difficult for you, after distorting nature, to return back to the original structure. Naturally, it's very difficult. Though nature has a way of recycling itself. But of mitigating what we call environmental degradation. There was one time in the Niger Delta, this issue of what? Excessive heat caused by what? Gas flaring. Gas flaring in the Niger Delta, all over the places. What we were breathing there, we were not breathing clean oxygen. We were breathing what we call polluted oxygen. It was affecting our health. We were drinking what we call contaminated water. It's there. Croplands have been destroyed because of what? Oil spillage. And there is no consequence. There is no consequence. The multinational company, they don't want to accept the blame. The federal government don't want to take decisive action. Look at the issue of people agitating for resource control. Don't blame them. Assuming the Niger Delta has been well taken care of, there will not have been the agitation for 13%.
Well, some would say, somebody just sent me a message now saying that even the hearts of some of our politicians need some cleanup. Heart surgery. Pharaoh Sani from Akinyele, he says, good morning. I'm a teacher from Kano State, but here in Ibadan. If every state keeps its resources, how will they not survive? We have less oil, but more people and more insecurity. Federalism should not mean abandonment. You want to pity him?
No, there is one thing we must understand. Switzerland don't have resources.
Yes.
But their gross domestic product and per capita income is higher than that of Nigeria. The paradox of poverty in the midst of plenty. You can have resources and yet you can be poor for one reason. One, if you fail to exploit those resources. Two, if there is mismanagement of what? Revenue from those resources. There are three problems with Nigeria. One, free rider effect. When we talk about the free rider effect, it simply means an economic phenomenon in which people are benefiting from what we call common resources without paying for it, like public infrastructure. When we talk about the second one is what we call Dutch disease. The Dutch disease simply means when the development of one sector of the economy leads to a decline of the other. The development of the oil and gas sector led to the decline in the agricultural sector in Nigeria. So that has been the problem with us. It's our mindset. It's not an excuse. Japan has technology, but they don't have what we call iron ore. Without iron ore, you cannot manufacture automobiles. So when we are talking about the North should go for what we call science and technology, not religion. Religion will not manufacture automobiles for you. They not love religion. Good. But look at Iran. Iran complemented both religion and science and technology. Do you know that Iran is an emerging nuclear power? The American knows. That is why the Americans want to stop them. They know. So what Iran did was this. Iran is an Islamic country. Fine. They practice the Islamic religion. They also said that there was the need for them to grow by the way of what? Science and technology. So, but in Nigeria today, what they not believe is what? Religion. Go for science and technology. Western education. Don't come and be telling me that Western education is evil. Boko Haram. That is the meaning of Boko Haram. You are saying that Western education is evil, but you have not asked the fundamental question. When you say Western education is evil, the children of the emirs, most of them are abroad, schooling in England, schooling in France, schooling in the United States, using state funds. And you said that Western education is haram. Then when they now return back, are you not telling me that the children of the emir, they have committed an haram? No, let us be honest to ourselves. It has been the poor masses in the north. When you are talking about Ahmadiyya system in the north, is it the children of the emir? Is the children of the talakawas, the downtrodden? So the need for liberation is necessary, especially among the Almajiris in the north. Embrace Western education. Embrace science and technology. When you embrace science and technology, does not mean that you are a Christian. No.
Let's go on a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Don't go away.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities, perfect with flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team. We provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at DominionCast.
All right, welcome from that break. Let's go back to the questions here and the comments here. Engineer Kunle from Challenge is saying Lagos generates over 70% of VAT. Yet, Lagos gets peanuts back. We're tired of carrying the whole country. True federalism, or let's keep what we earn.
Let me react to that. You blame the North. I remember when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu came, he decided to introduce what we call the new tax reform concerning the issue of VAT. So we have what we call distilleries in the south, no distillery in the north, because of religious reasons. That is why I said we need a constitution whereby Nigerian federation will be well defined along secularism. Under secularism, there is nothing like state religion. Let me give you an instance. You said taking alcohol is haram, but you are a beneficiary of the proceeds from the VAT generated from the sale of alcohol, and you said that one is halal. How do you explain that as a Muslim? Alcohol is haram. I'm talking about the northern Muslim now. But northern states benefit from the allocation derived from value-added tax from distillery. So we keep saying it over and over again. We need a new constitution in this country.
What's the role of the revenue allocation, mobilization,
and fiscal commission? The role is this. What they normally do is they're in charge of revenue mobilization. All the revenue that is being generated for the country on a monthly basis. So let's assume 1 billion naira is being generated for a whole month. There is a sharing formula. The sharing formula is this: 52.5% goes to who? To the federal government. While 47.5% goes to the state and the local government. And we are having 36 states in the federation. One federal government. Then 774 local government. One federal government gets 52.5%. 36 states get something around 32%. While the rest goes to where? To the local government that make up 774. That is injustice. And now for the local government now there is what we call state and local government joint account. There is no financial autonomy for the local government. So you are talking about fiscal federalism. In Nigeria today, we don't have anything called fiscal federalism. What we have what we call unitary federalism.
All right, James Dang from Ologweru, he says, why can't states control their solid minerals? The way oil is controlled. We have tin, columbite, gold in Plateau, but miners operate like criminals. Resource control must be for all resources, not just oil. Yes, I know we've discussed that, and Ignatius Ovino has made some sense from that. Now,
do you know why the country may, if we are not very careful with this issue of resource control, it may lead to further fragmentation? You know that Niger State is being classified as what? The power state, because of the Kainji Dam. They were also agitating for derivation. We have to be very careful on this issue of derivation, so that it doesn't lead to what further fragmentation. We need a leader that will be seen as a father figure. We need a new constitution that will be all-inclusive, and we need true fiscal federalism.
Okay, so now we're rounding off. What is the agenda for today?
The agenda for today is this: we need true federalism and what we call fiscal federalism that is based on what? Justice, fairness, and equity. It must be based on what? Justice, fairness, and equity. We should stop this idea of marginalization. It's not good.